Welcome, everyone, to our third episode of Beyond the Script. I'm Erin Feigl, Prime's Chief Human Resources Officer, and I have three members of my leadership team here today for an HR Roundtable. Together, we're going to discuss the modern worker and how Prime is responding to the changing needs of current and prospective employees. A few weeks ago, I wrote a blog post about this topic on our website, which resonated with people. So we wanted to discuss it in this live format as well. As you listen to these leaders today, we encourage you to submit your questions in the chat box on your screen, and we'll work to answer as many of those questions as we can at the end of our session. Now on to introductions. With me today are Ashley Block, Vice President, HR Business Partnership and Talent Acquisition, John Soma, Senior Director, Talent Development and Training, and Sabrina Watkins, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Director. Welcome, Ashley, John, and Sabrina. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Erin.
Good to see you. All right, we'll jump right in and we'll start with a question for Ashley. So Ashley, you lead both recruiting and HR business partnership support. First, what trends are you and your teams hearing right now from potential job seekers?
Yeah, that's a great question, Erin. Thank you. Well, my team talks to job seekers every day. So as you can imagine, what we're hearing is a lot. But if I would really break it into kind of the themes that come up consistently, I think it comes down to three main things. Job seekers today are really looking for flexibility. They're looking for meaningful work, and they're looking for companies that are really focused on career development and growth for their employees. I can remember back even just a couple of years when having the ability to work from home for an employer was kind of a luxury. And what we're seeing today is that people want to work where they're most productive, whether that's at home, whether it's in the office, or whether it's from another remote location. And we're hearing that come through loud and clear when we're talking to candidates who are looking for positions at Prime. And that's one of the reasons that, the hub and home philosophy and model that we have at Prime has really resonated in the market, in addition to internally with our own team. Beyond that, then, the other couple things I would highlight are the job market is different today. It's gone are the days where you're looking for an employer that's close to home, that's maybe less than a 20-minute drive. The commonness of working from home has really meant that job seekers have more opportunities and really more options than they've had in the past. And so it's even more critical that, employers are providing an open, inclusive culture that's mission oriented and really providing meaningful work that suits an individual's values. And finally, just, that they're interested and, really promoting growth for their employees, learning on the job, and opportunities to continue to develop in their career. So those are three of the things that we hear pretty commonly from our candidates, and certainly three of the things that we talk a lot about and try and highlight when we're out in the market today.
Yeah, sounds good. Great highlights, Ashley. Is there anything that's different when you're looking or talking with internal candidates or internal employees? Are they thinking about things in addition to your three highlights?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that our internal employees are focused on a lot of the same things as our candidates, but I will highlight one thing that I think that we've started to hear more consistently more recently. Our employees love hub and home. So, like I said, that's something that's really resonated. People like the flexibility that provides. But more recently, we've actually been hearing from leaders and employees who are saying, hey, when we're only in the office once every other month or once a quarter, or maybe just a few times a year, we really want to be thoughtful about making the most of that time and using that to connect and collaborate well. And so, although the model has been well received and it's something that we absolutely plan on continuing, it's forced our human resources team to really start thinking more about the guidance that we provide and the thought partnership that we give to leaders in really helping them make the most out of that in person, face to face time that they have with their employees, because it just doesn't happen as often.
Right. Great points. All right, John, we'll move on to a question for you. So, Prime offers an annual career development event for employees, as you know, where senior leaders, guest speakers, team panels share stories, insights, tips, and tools for building career plans. It's also intended to help improve resilience and well being, advance business acumen, and leadership skills. Overall, it's just a great program that's been fun for us to offer at Prime. But why don't you tell us a little bit about how this career development program offering has evolved as worker preferences have changed in the last few years?
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. It is a great program, and I'll probably tackle it in two different ways: one in our presentation style and one in topics. So, the first, in terms of our presentation delivery, this was an annual event that was in person before COVID. And then when COVID hit, we became all virtual. And so, everything, still a week long event, one time a year, there was all this offered digitally. And now, much like our facilities and what Ashley was talking about, our hub and home model, we're going to be going forward with a more of a hybrid approach where we'll have content and topics. Will get you a little bit here, but people can experience it in office at their prime landing location or at home. We are lucky enough to have the technology available, so no matter what your preference is, you can consume and experience that event the same way. And the other change we're doing from the delivery style is also kind of pointing to what Ashley was saying, where it was an annual event, but there's a need to have things often more frequently. And so we're going to a more quarterly engagement model. And I say engagement because it's more than just coming to an event, like I'm coming to a meeting. These engagements are about interaction and connection. And so the career event is now going to become career quarterly engagements, along with other things around development, social topics, timing for prime events overall. And so when the leaders come together, their teams come together, they're not just here for a meeting, they're here for those connection points that's different than just coming together to sit in a room or log in my computer all day in a different format. So that's the format part. The topic part, it started more with that first year, right? To more foundational topics like here's my resume, here's some interview tips and tricks, here's how to update my technology with my LinkedIn profile. And we've morphed by adding more topics around really developing that whole person and taking care of me as an individual so that I can put my best foot forward for that next career step, whatever it may be. And so that's topics about, well-being, mindfulness, D&I topics, which I know Sabrina will talk about here in a little bit. What's my personal brand? How do I network in this new digital and virtual space? And so between the two of those topics, we really focus more on that flexibility and individualization for giving people the right content in whatever format they want to consume it.
Mm-hmm. I love that, John. It's kind of the best of all worlds, offering virtual, in person, offering different types of opportunities to learn and connect. So great. Thanks for that update. Sabrina, let's talk a little bit about diversity, equity, and inclusion, which has a clear tie to Prime's values and culture of people, purpose, and possibilities. What would you say are the hallmark DE&I efforts that are getting noticed by employees, prospective employees, and out in the community?
Thanks, Aaron. As we are, we center our values for all of Prime, including D&I, around people, purpose, and possibilities. So when we think about people, the first thing that comes to mind for me is our transparency report. So in 2021, Prime published the first transparency report. And for us, that really helped us identify where our opportunities for improvement are. And it really, is something that we're being held accountable for because now we have it out there. It helps us hold ourselves accountable as well as others. When we think about purpose, I think about some of the recognition that we've received. And so, one of those things is Prime is now a Yellow Ribbon certified company. And so that really kind of signifies our commitment to honoring and supporting our active military families, the veterans, and their families. And so another one is our corporate equality index. And so for that one, we scored 100 out of 100. And so that really kind of designated us as one of the best places to work for LGBTQ plus. And then another, again, these are just kind of highlighting some of those three, excuse me, some of those, is our disability equality index. And for that one, we scored 90 out of 100, which again designates us for one of the best places to work for disability inclusion. And so, with all three of those, that really provided us with benchmark scores to help us create some action plans so that we know where to go on to continue with our ongoing improvement. And then the third thing is possibilities. When I think about possibilities, I think about increasing our diversity in leadership. And so now that we are working in this remote setting, we have a larger pool of candidates that we can look for and pull from. And so to me, that's really exciting because we're not just stuck to just certain areas there. And then also, it gives us an opportunity to assess our internal mobility and our promotion opportunities with our current employees. And so, again, with all three of those things, I think those are really the things that kind of stand out to me with people, purpose, and possibilities.
That's great. And kudos to you and your team and the council, and of course, across Prime for such great recognition and accolades. All right. Well, I have a question for all three of you, which is what's next for your specific areas related to embracing the modern worker? And Ashley, why don't we start with you?
There's a lot that's next, Aaron. No shortage of things to be done in the upcoming year, but I'll focus on one thing in particular. As I said earlier, we have heard from the Prime team that they love this hub and home model, and they're really focused on how they make the most of it. And that means how they make meaningful connections together, meaningful connections virtually, meaningful connections in mixed environments. And in the upcoming months, we really plan to continue to provide guidance to our teams on that. The guidance we've provided in the past has been really, really well received. And I think what we intend to focus on in the upcoming year and what's going to be even more critical is this idea of both welcoming and onboarding new talent, creating an environment of what we like to call radical welcomeness at Prime, which looks different when you're in a hybrid environment. And then also really focusing in on this idea of integrating and building new teams and how leaders can do that most effectively. So certainly not small topics to tackle and more work to be done there, but those are a couple of the things that we're excited about in the upcoming few months.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that with us, Ashley. John, how about you? What's next?
For learning development, I think it comes down to individualization in two different ways, both using technology available to us. So the first being having learning or knowledge at your fingertips, learning in the moment. And that comes with having a platform and tools to bring me content or knowledge when I need it, whether it's being I'm processing a claim to be able to find this specific drug, this specific client, how to do this information or how to process this claim. Or if I'm a leader having a conversation with an employee next week and I need some help having a crucial conversation, what resources are available to me that I can't wait for a classroom, but I need something right now at my fingertips. So how to bring that knowledge to them to complement our normal onboarding, development plans, classroom type trainings. That's the first way. And the second way is to then, once I have an individual learning plan or development plan or goals for myself, how can we have technology and tools help support that goal? Obviously, your manager, your supervisor, your leader is going to help you reach those goals, but we have content available that can help you and recommend things to reach your goal. We live in a world of Netflix where I get recommendations all the time to watch things I even know about. We can do the same thing with AI-driven technology here at Prime, where if your goal is project management, we can offer you courses, experiences, and reflection things to prepare you to take on that role, and even give certification and badging to demonstrate your accomplishments as you look forward. So overall, really giving the tools to be able to really reach their individual goals.
Yeah, love it. Real time, applicable learning when you need it. That's great. Thank you. Sabrina, how about you? What's next in DE&I for Prime?
Yeah, Aaron, that is such a loaded question because there's so much that's next for D&I. So I'll try to keep this short here. Two of the main things that I think about for what's next with D&I is really just being intentional about ensuring that everyone in at Prime is being seen and heard. Even in this remote hybrid setting, everyone wants that radical welcomeness that Ashley spoke of, and everyone wants to feel like they belong. And so that's one of the main things that we want to do. And then the other is really just ensuring that everyone has the opportunities and be included in things that we do. We are doing more out in our communities, not just in the Twin Cities where we are based, but in the communities where we live and serve with all of our employees. And so doing more there, doing more with our D&I training. And so that's where John and his fantastic team comes in to help us with that. And again, this is whether in person or virtual. We want to ensure that all of our employees have a fair and equal opportunity here at Prime. And so that's one of the goals one of the many goals that we have for diversity and inclusion here.
Yeah, that's perfect. Can't wait for that to continue. All right. Well, thank you all of you for your comments. We're going to move on to the Q&A portion of our session here today. And it looks like the first question is for Ashley. And the question is, how has the recruiting strategy shifted post-COVID? Is it more national?
Yeah, the short answer to that is yes, absolutely. Um, you know, uh, Gosh, things have shifted a lot, obviously, for employers post COVID. And, I think for Prime, the shift in our recruiting strategy has probably been one of the more exciting changes for us. Um, COVID obviously gave us the opportunity to see that at Prime, work could be executed really well from home or another remote workspace. And the thing that's great about that in an industry like PBM is, as we look at the talent that we need across this organization, not all of it sits in Minneapolis, Minnesota, or even the Midwest. And so it really benefits us, especially for those niche roles across the organization, to be able to seek out and find talent where it's at and really be able to tell the value story and help people understand what's great about working for this organization, even if they're outside of, just our backyard. So we've definitely opened up recruiting nationwide. We're sourcing candidates from all over, and it's been really, really exciting just to see the level of talent that has opened up, and some of the really great people we've been able to onboard because of that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. All right. The next question is really for all of you, so anyone can jump in and answer this. How can you be most welcoming to employees who are situated across the country who may be too far from any Prime office to come in on a regular basis?
I can jump in first maybe of this one because we just had this happen on our team where normally we in person times we take someone out for lunch with the team and enjoy it. And we brought a new person just last week, and it was how we connect them. And so we did what we did in person, we just did virtually. So we sent them a gift card to enjoy lunch themselves. We had a virtual team lunch the same way we would have going out to eat as a team, and had get to know you session and talked with the person and had, like I said, a virtual meeting, but it was just time to connect because we can't swing by their cube or swing by their office to say hello.
Mhm.
Carved out time to have that same type of experience. It's just one way to kind of bring what we used to do to that digital world.
That's great. Any other thoughts, Ashley or Sabrina?
I agree with everything that you've said, John. I think that you've painted a great picture. The only other couple of things that I might add are, one of the things that we've tried to be intentional about at Prime is we've got an onboarding experience that is 100% virtual now. So it reaches an employee no matter where they are. They're not only getting new hire orientation, but they're learning about the cultural aspects of the organization. They're learning about our leadership team. They're learning about our industry. And they get all of that at their fingertips. Beyond that, then I would say, just to echo what John said, I think the key there is for our leaders to be really intentional about making connections early and often. And that's often the guidance that we provide. And I think that's exactly what John articulated with regard to what he did with his new team member too. So
That's great. Thank you. All right, one more question, and this could be for Sabrina and Ashley, or either or. So the question is, do you think any companies DEI policies and actions are increasingly important to candidates? And do we see more questions coming from candidates about what Prime is doing in this area?
You want me to take that one, Z?
We both can take it. I
Yeah.
can chime in about, I can't speak to, what questions we're getting in the recruiting and hiring process. But when we talk about the policies and actions, and we're just wondering if that's important to candidates, from my experience so far, I can say that yes, it is. People want to know what we are doing. People want, like I said before, everyone wants to feel like they belong, and that they matter, and that opportunities are fair for them. And so that's one of the main things that people are looking for when they're looking for, when they're out in the job market and they're looking for companies. People are starting to ask those questions now. When you look on our social media boards, it's all over the place.
Mhm.
That really shows that this is important to a lot of people. And that matters where someone works, because they want to feel like they are wanted and they are included.
That's
Yeah.
great.
I think you stated that really well, Sabrina. The only couple things that I would add on there is, first and foremost, wholeheartedly agree. I think, when we talked about that meaningful work aspect and what we're hearing from candidates out in the marketplace, it's not just about what they're doing, day to day in front of their computer, and that's, the work that's on their job description. It's also about, people wanting to have a meaningful experience in connecting with the people around them and bettering their organization. And we've got a really great story to tell around DEI at Prime and the progress we've made over the last couple of years in particular. And that's something that our candidates really connect with in the job search and the job offer process. And absolutely something that we're seeing people ask about more and more in the current environment. So,
Got it. Thank you, both of you. All right. Well, that wraps up our time for questions today. So, again, thank you, all three of you, Ashley, Sabrina, and John. Great job sharing with us what you're working on in each of your areas to support the modern worker. And thank you to our audience for joining us for Beyond the Script today. We enjoyed sharing our HR journey with you, and we appreciate all the great questions. This episode and all of our previous episodes of Beyond the Script are available for replay on our YouTube channel, so feel free to check that out. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you at our next episode, and thank you and have a great day.